Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. My apologies for being late. My clock downstairs isn't right, which means I came up later than I should have. So no blame for any of the guests I have tonight. Before we get into the video, as always, do smash a like on this stream for us. Subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, hit the notification bell, all that jazz. Make sure you subscribe to my guests' channel as well. We have Oscar at All Leeds TV, regular Corey at the West Ham Way, and back for what will be is probably like sixth time, like maybe double hat-trick ball maybe now is Neil from the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. How are you, Neil? All right?
I'm doing good. 2 wins in a row. Often change a man's demeanor. It's not often. It was funny because when we were doing a preview for the game at the weekend, we were saying that the last time we had won 2 in a row was when Gerrard first came into the club, which was in November. You know, so like you'd think winning 2 games in a row would come around a small bit easier than it does for teams in the Premier League, but it only seems to come around for the top for the teams in the top 6. Everyone else kind of wins infrequently and picks up points here and there, but it really puts a smile on a man's face for sure.
Yeah. I wish I could say I know how that feels this season, but it's just not. Like, it's mad, you know. It's mad how many comments I got for the Leicester preview. Just how many people were saying, "Oh, you look so confident. You just look a different guy." And without looking at it myself, I probably had just like gone into this shell of myself as we were just getting beat, you know. And then I was like, "Oh, we're good. Yes, new coach, maybe, you know, different ideas." Obviously, we still lost the game, but yeah, I'm worried. Oscar, how are you feeling, mate? Are you in the same camp as me? Still a little bit worried, but positive after a loss? Can you be?
Yeah, I mean, look, at this stage of the season, would they have taken a win, an ugly win, or a really positive performance and loss? So they still took the win. Yeah, at this stage of the season, it's just about points. But I think from what I've seen on Saturday, very encouraging. I think it's the best we've played for a long time. Probably the only real games I can think of that come close are probably our second half, against Neil's Villa. I thought we were really good in that second half there. Obviously, West Ham as well, Corey. But again, I think we played really well Saturday, to be totally honest with you. And I've seen enough there to say that I'm confident. I'm confident we can stay up. It's going to be tough. Let's not hide away from the fact it's going to be tough. We know we've still got City to play, Chelsea to play, Arsenal to play. You know, so you're looking at 3 of the top 4 still to play in those last 11 games. So look, there's no doubt about it. This is going to be tough, but I think there's enough there. I've seen under Marsh. I like his character, I like his personality. Look, I never ever dreamt for 1 minute that we'd be talking about a first game under a new coach at this stage of this season. But in terms of what he's done in the first week, I think it's been positive. But you can't. I mean, look, people have got a narrative. You know, certain fans have got a narrative against Jesse Marsch already. And look, I do get it, because look, we all love Marcelo Bielsa, but there is no way you can blame Jesse Marsch for anything on Saturday, to be totally honest with you. We literally, I hate quoting stuff like XG, but it's the highest I think it's been all season, least against. It's one bit of quality off Harvey Barnes that's undone us, and Kasper Schmeichel has made at least 3 world-class saves and some really good saves on top of that as well. And I can't fail not to be impressed by what I've seen. But Villa's a totally different test. Norwich next week's a totally different test. It's about keeping that up now. But if we play like that for the next 11 games, I know it's a cliche. I think we'll be fine. But look, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And look, it's been a difficult season. There's no doubt about it. You know, it's been a really. And I've got to say, Jesse Marsch, in terms of keeping the way he's kind of handled himself, I think it's been spot on so far, to be totally honest with you. I think he's been respectful towards Bielsa. He's a different personality to Bielsa, but yeah, I think I've seen good signs there, early doors.
Yeah, just on the XG thing, actually, just a thing popped up on Twitter from Sporting Life. The 0.39 XG created by Leicester against Jesse Marsch's Leeds was the lowest in the Premier League this weekend. Do you know what I mean? So there is a lot to be said about that. There is a lot to be said about it, but ultimately we didn't win the game, so don't fucking matter, does it?
I can raise you one, mate. I can raise you one. West Ham's 13 shots was the most I think Liverpool have faced this season at home.
Oh, right.
So that's sort of my collective trophy trophy when ultimately we got nothing, and we probably.
Who wants Neil's 4-0 win when you can win the stats war?
No,
exactly.
That's so true. Corey, how are you, mate? 'Cause we didn't see you after basically, your season sort of falling off the edge of a cliff a little
Hang
bit.
on.
Sorry.
Give me till Thursday, mate, and then we can talk.
This
about
is
it,
what I was going to say to you when we get to West Ham in a bit. But you must feel like now, like Thursday is huge, isn't it? Because it's like that's
massive.
After being in everything, and now you find this situation.
Yeah. I mean, on the Southampton game, they absolutely deserved it, and we lacked. I think Hasenhüttl in particular, he tweaked it 3 times throughout the game. First 20 minutes we looked all right, and thereafter we just couldn't create enough. And we did have chances again in that game, and we weren't clinical. So we are regretting that. It's a bit of a weird feeling because I think the Wolves performance and the Liverpool performances were good, and they're probably better than we've seen in about 2 months, maybe a month and a half. So there are positives, but looking at that Liverpool game, I will never know how Pablo Fornal hasn't side-footed it. I'll never know how Lanzini skied it. And even before then, Bowen on goal and Antonio. So, and the game plan, given we had injuries, given Bowen went off and Noble came on, they honestly didn't put a foot wrong. So I'm in a weird... You're right there.
Sorry, yes, Spurs have gone 1-0 up. Sorry.
What are you celebrating for?
Because Everton, mate, they're playing Everton, aren't they? This is big for us.
No. I need Everton. To help me out.
No.
But yeah, look, at the end of the day, Noble came on. We've got injuries, but they played well. And you're in a weird position where you can't really celebrate it because you didn't get anything from the game. But at least you're kind of happy that it's a positive performance. So I'm hoping they're up for Thursday, mate. That's not only the biggest game of our season. It's probably the biggest game of 20 odd years at West Ham. It's not. It's no joke. So pressure's on. But I think they'll thrive. I hope they'll thrive anyway.
Yeah, man. I hope you do as well, mate. I'm rooting for you. Yeah, I'd love to say this is where I find myself. I don't need to apologise. Ultimately, we're that poor this season that I am relying on other teams' results. It is what it is. I sometimes get stick and people say our aspirations should be higher than that, John. I'm like, yeah, I know, I get that, but ultimately, right now, we can't. We've got to rely on other teams. You know what I mean? So the fact that Tottenham are winning through a Michael Keane own goal as well, just is music to my ears. And
my fancy.
I'd love Fat Frank to take Everton down as well. That'd be something special. But after that little morbid affair for us, anyway, for the regulars after this weekend's results, let's talk about something that normally puts a smile on our face. It is, of course, Manchester United and Ralph Ragnarok. They were absolutely schooled at the weekend. It's quite interesting seeing this so-called upturn of form they had under Ralph, which, when you look at the fixtures they'd had, a lot of the teams they should be winning, really, and they drew quite a lot of them. And then they've come up against a decent side and were absolutely put to the cleaners. It was men versus boys.
A decent side?
You know what I mean? What I'm saying is all them other teams have been pretty... They're expected to beat them. So when they've come up against someone who they're not expected to beat, they were put to the sword. Go on, Oscar, talk to me about it, bro.
Well, I'll be honest,
interrupt
the game live. Was on the flight back from sunny Malaga, and just coming back off the plane. First thing, I switched the phone on, seeing that come through. But look, watched extended highlights of it on Match of the Day and all that lot, and it looked like a domination. To be fair, 92% possession to 8 at one point in the game for 15 minutes. Absolutely embarrassing from a Man United point of view, but it's not a massive shock, is it? I know they've had in recent years a good record, at City and all this lot, but yeah, this City team, I think, is just getting better and better. 2-0 Spurs as well. We'll absolutely take that all day long. But yeah, look, this City team's just going through the gears now. I think it's getting better and better. Foden in the false 9 role is just causing so many problems. Grealish played yesterday. By all accounts, looked like he had one of his best games.
Yeah, one of his better games. Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka, I don't think you what day it was. You watched Lindelof try and defend on some of those goals. It's just absolutely mind blowing how bad they actually are now. But yeah, I think obviously they put a weird system out as well. Apparently Bruno was playing in like the false 9 role. Mm-hmm. not a great shout. But
what did we make to the Ronaldo situation? And like, apparently Cavani didn't want to know. I've read and heard and that Ronaldo was told maybe Friday that he wasn't going to be starting, but going to be in the squad, and then all of a sudden he got injured and was in Portugal and watching from home. You know what I mean? So there's some dodginess there. Like, I think Ralph Rangnick had said after the game that I can only go on what the doctors are telling me, and the doctors were telling me he weren't fit. But it sounded like he was told, mate, you're not going to be starting. So he went, right, I'm not sitting on bench for that game, and just went off to Portugal. I think there's issues with Cavani. Rashford want to leave, all this sort of stuff. So it's fun to watch at the minute, isn't it, Corey?
Yeah, I'm enjoying. Well, I mean, yeah, it was a good result for us if we're trying to creep into European spots, but they are in disarray, aren't they? And to be honest, going into the game, I thought they would get scored anyway, like irrespective of form. And I know Rangnick to a degree is sort of, they haven't slid down the table. They have been picking up points, but performances have been really poor. And I thought, if you're a Manchester United fan, for the first half, maybe you're okay. You feel like you're half competing. But that last 20 minutes I watched, it was absolutely embarrassing. I've never seen anything like it. Not tracking runners. Mahrez's goal is silly. They're sort of frozen. They don't really know what they're supposed to be doing. There's no shape. There's no organisation. You see for the first goal as well. Maguire, Lindelof failing with the header. They have about 3 chances at goal in one sequence. And it is embarrassing. And it sort of begs the question. I mean, Rangnick can only do so much. Some of these players don't look up for it at all. And you can't, the minimum in that magnitude of a game is, all right, okay, fine. You know, you can see that maybe it's not working. You can't win the ball off City. Every team in the league's faced it when you're trying to get the ball off them. It's virtually impossible. But to sort of go halfway, someone press, someone sit, someone just stand there and do nothing. It's bizarre. I think for them, their fans are just seeing the fact that squad really aren't behind the manager. They really don't know what they're doing. I think there's players there that have regressed. Maguire's one. Rashford's another one. And now they're stuck in the summer. I've heard they've only got 50 million to spend. They need a lot more than that. They'll have to get rid of about 8 of them, and they'll have to bring in God knows what. So they're in trouble, man. They're in trouble. The Rangnick thing didn't work. And it was weird to see. It was interesting. I don't know if you saw the argument between Micah Richards and Gary Neville about they should have brought Conte in. And I thought Gary Neville, to be fair, is falling on his sword a little bit, because I thought Micah Richards was bang on. Like, is that what Manchester United are now? They're not winners. You're not going to bring Conte in case he upsets the apple cart. Like that tells you everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Just a small take on that game, that United and City game is, have you ever seen a team more arrogant in your whole entire life than Man? And I'm going to make a lot of friends, I think, here in a Leeds stream. Have you ever seen a team that's more arrogant and has no right in the world to be arrogant than Manchester United in 2022? The reason I say that is because they go out and they have a 35-year-old striker in Cavani. They go in to sign Ronaldo, who, is fine. But look, lads, at the end of the day, the wheels are going to come off at some stage. And they've got no one behind him. They know Greenwood is gone in January. They didn't buy another striker. They proceed with bringing on Anthony Elanga, who, let's be honest, I don't even think he gets on the Villa bench at the moment, considering what Villa have in the team. Yet he's starting for United week in, week out. United are extremely arrogant for all the money they've spent, and they couldn't field a striker yesterday. They couldn't field a striker. Manchester United could not field a striker because they didn't have anyone coming up through their youth system that they felt comfortable with. Yeah, I know you were putting him in against City, but look what happened to Rashford when they gave him a go. And look what it's happening to Rashford now. Then you look at City, and the reason that they're doing it is because City are playing this false 9. And every team is thinking, we can get away with playing a false 9. And you can't, because Man City are the best team on the planet at the moment. Manchester United, just a blatant show of arrogance. We're like, we can saunter into this game and get something from it. And you just can't. You go in, you blast all this money on Sancho, you blast all this money on players down through the years to play behind the striker, and then you've got 2 35-year-olds that you're not sure can last the whole season. Now, I know that's unfair with Ronaldo. His injury record has always been pretty good, but you're going to need somebody to come up behind him. Who's learning at that club? They're only thinking 30 seconds ahead, and it's all about, we get Ronaldo in, home, whatever you want to call him, hometown hero, whatever it was. Marsh will absolutely pay for itself. But I watched that game yesterday, and I was absolutely, it actually really annoyed me to see United not be able to field a striker. And that's just my being my bonnet that I had watching that game yesterday, because they went out to that game. They knew they hadn't a bat chance of winning that game yesterday. Not a hope. And the only man who had any balls to come up and say anything afterwards, Scott McTominay. So fair play to him. He sat there. He took no nonsense from the interviewer afterwards, and he basically called it as he saw it. You know, fair play to him.
Yeah, I did see the McTominay thing, and I do agree with you, but at the same time, I don't think I dislike a footballer more than Scott McTominay. So
That's okay, but
I was unable to sort of like say, "Oh, fair play." I was like watching it, going, "You."
Do you not find it so weird though that we have these Manchester United post matches and they're always, to be fair to McTominay, I thought he was a lot stronger than what I would expect, but no Maguire. No Fernandes. Like there are leaders in that team that should become more senior players that should be coming out and saying, you know what, that's just not good enough. And yet he's having to shoulder it. And he knows he's been put in a difficult position where he's not going to start slating his teammates. He knows behind the scenes it's toxic. So
and he's got a 50-50 chance that he's actually going to start the game in the Premier League for Manchester United next season, depending on who they bring in. You know? It's madness. Like that club is just madness at the moment. It really is. Got rid of Woodward. Like they've got a man in there at the moment. Like everything is running the commercial side. And yesterday was the epitome of it. It was the epitome of they might as well just gone out with the team they went out with. They might have said, we don't really want to win this game.
It's mad, really, because we were reminded at the weekend as well. I'm sure you'll have seen it on Twitter. Just Merson just calling out the signing of Maguire and the fact that he had to sort of come out on Monday Night Football and apologise for it afterwards, saying like he was out of order and that. But everything that Merson had said on Soccer Saturday, I think it was at the time, was just absolutely bang on. And I seen an image of like, is this the worst Man United transfer window in history? And again, I couldn't jump on it because it had one of my current players in, but it was a picture of Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and Dan James. And like from a Manchester United, I was like, oh, that's so true. But I thought I can't, because Dan James plays for my club, so I was like, I can't really jump on it. But
But Dan James was a lot cheaper, though. To be fair, it was a lot cheaper. Like Wan-Bissaka 50 and Maguire 80.
Yeah, but as them three, though, as a collective, it's a poor transfer window as it goes, Oscar. You know.
Yeah, but Dan James was only what's Dan James cost, like 10?
I don't know, but they managed.
He was only 15.
They managed to double the money on us anyway. I don't know how they managed to do that, bro.
Well,
I can't believe they spent 50
Dan James was good on Saturday. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. You still can't cross the ball though.
But just to say as well, I'm just going to slightly change topic, but other side of Manchester, Mahrez. I mean, for me, he's the most underrated player in the league, I'd say. I think he doesn't get anywhere near the level of credit he probably deserves. I think he's 21 goals for this season, I think now. Just always seems to go under that radar compared to the other stars in that City team. Your Fodens, your KDBs, Bernardo Silva's. Very quietly goes about his business. And I think the third goal, look, Man United should defend it better, but credit where credit's due. The delivery and the finish, I think the other three goals are probably a lot more criminal than that one.
Yeah. But look, City are flying. Manchester United's done. And still, some people say that they're picked for the top four. I know where my money would go right now. I just don't see how they do it. How, like I say, they've played some bang average sides, got through them okay. It looks like they've improved, but they should be beating them on paper. They've had a lot of draws. They come up against better side and they get absolutely thumped. So I'm just not sure how they do see top four. But another team that absolutely smashing it is, of course, Liverpool. 12 wins in a row now. Conceded just 4 goals, scored 28. How West Ham didn't score at the weekend is...
should have conceded 6 goals, mate. Shouldn't it be 4, should it really?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that goes without saying. But Liverpool, I think it was Mane, wasn't it, who got the goal. But Corey, do you want to just talk to us about the game, bro?
Yeah, I mean, it was, from my point of view, it was a lot more ambitious than what I've seen West Ham play, like even when we beat them at home, to be honest. When you break down, and I was talking with Grizz, like in theory, there were 2 goalkeeping mistakes in there, but it was quality from West Ham and they gambled and they used their quality. But in this game, we really did have to be more adventurous. We pushed our midfield high, which I didn't expect us to do without Declan Rice. We had 4 now sitting on Fabinho to try and pick him up, to stop him playing through midfield. But equally, when you play like that, you can get caught. And Diaz had a few runs on Craig Dawson, and he annihilated him. And obviously Mane and Salah and Mane in particular.
How
for the
good's
goal.
Diaz, by the way, when you see him against your side? Like, the guy is
He's very good. He's very good. He was very good for 20 minutes, but then after, I didn't really. And this is not just the case for him, but Mane and Salah, I didn't feel that they were too much in the game, which was a surprise for me. They were getting chances from distance, but they weren't getting in behind our centre back. So from that point of view, I was quite calm. But I think, the chances we had, mate, seriously, I mean, you got to make those gambles. The Fornals one, I still can't get it out of my head. He's made a beautiful run. He's made it right through their high line, right through their two centre-backs. It's a perfect pick-out from Johnson. He's got all the time in the world. He's even got Antonio to his right. He could just lay it off to him and he could slot it. And this is what I mean. Like, it's hard to come out of that game, given how well we played, and go, oh, I'm gutted. But in truth, he should have scored that. And Lanzini should have scored his, or at least got it on target. Like, I could forgive him maybe for trying to take the touch, and Alisson's literally right there in front of you. You've got no time to think. But it feels so harsh because I thought Lanzini was exceptional. I really, really did. Fornals had a really good game first half. Ben Rama came on, got in behind Trent on a number of occasions. We could have won that game, albeit I know they dominated, albeit I know that people will say they're strong defensively. Van Dijk makes an error. That's uncharacteristic of him. And maybe if Bowen's a little bit quicker and shoots earlier, we score again. So it's hard. I'm not too negative on the players. They came into that game without Declan Rice, who's our main man. To be honest, off the back of a 3-1 loss against Southampton where we were poor. And they showed up. And it does make me think there is something still in this side. Like, yes, of course, it's tired. Yes, it does need rotation. But to be fair to them, I thought David Moyes got the game plan spot on. He did pretty much as far as he could. The players enacted it. And even Mark Noble's cameo for 20, 30 minutes. I just thought even he come on and didn't put a foot wrong. So it's a bit hard for me to sit here and slate the players. But I'm glad we got that in because Sevilla's a huge game. Like, it's a massive game. We've got to go out there and we've got to keep it tight. We've really, really just got to keep it tight. Because if we can get back to London Stadium, if there's a goal in it, then I just back us at home. I just think we can do something or get them over the line. But it's a tough ask, mate. They're different level, aren't they, Sevilla? They're what, third or fourth in the La Liga? They're pushing. They've won the competition.
How many times have they won it as well? Like
4, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, experts, and we're minnows in that sense. So,
and
we'll see.
You mentioned no Rice. Will he be back Thursday? Bowen's out as well, right?
Yeah, but to be honest, Bowen's a little bit of saving grace because I thought it looked really bad. He hobbled off. He actually couldn't walk, to be honest. And I thought, hey, there we go. That's our match winner. But I think he's out for the next 2 games. And to be honest, if you told me he's out for 2 games rather than the next 10, I'm going to take it all day and hope the team can get through. But I think Deck will be fine. To be honest with Deck anyway, he's done this before when we had a fixture pile up and he said, oh, I can't play, I'm ill. And then all of a sudden he's out there in the following game. So I think he'll be raring to go. And I think getting him back in that midfield with legs as well as it did, that's going to be so crucial. And we need him as well because back-to-back, you've got Sevilla, which is a tough game, and then you've got Aston Villa at home. And they'll fancy it because of the form that they're in, because of the players that they've got. We can't switch off, so we've got to be on it.
Villa will be licking the wounds as well after getting beat at Ellen Road, pal. So you might
knock them down a couple of pegs, please.
Usually do get beat at Ellen Road. We usually do something mad. Usually happens. Villa Leeds. It's never an easy one.
Yeah, it's very good time. Neil, we haven't had John, I don't think, for a couple of weeks. I just wanted to get your opinion on obviously where you think the title's going to end up. Obviously, with Liverpool now just breathing down City's neck, you can't really decide who's the better of the two sides right now. For me, they're absolutely flying. But if you were to pick a winner now.
I was only looking at the remaining fixtures, and it's like it couldn't be lined up any better for Sky Sports because obviously the two teams have to play each other. There's 3 points in the difference. I think the last time we were talking about this, there was maybe 9 points in the difference. So it was like a case where Liverpool just couldn't make any mistakes. And even if Liverpool and City, even if it's a draw at some stage, I would fancy Liverpool to sweep the rest of their games more than I would City for some very inexplicable reason. And it's just that like Liverpool are just you might score a goal against Liverpool, but Liverpool will just continue to come forward and continue to score goals. Whereas there's something about City that maybe I don't know that a strange team could catch them. I don't know what it is, and I think it's going to go down to the wire. And look, it could be Aston Villa last day of the season. Aston Villa play City on the 22nd of May, and I would love nothing more than us to go there with nothing to play for and put up a good performance against Man City and grind out a 1-1 draw or a 0-0 draw and have, because face it, last day of the season, Villa don't look like they're going to be winning the league anytime soon, but we might as well have a say in where the league title goes to on the last day of the season. And, that would be something that I would like. But for me, I fancy a coming team. I fancy the team that's had to battle its way through. And I think Liverpool take City when they play them. And I don't think that they relinquish the top spot from there on in. I think this is going to be Liverpool's season.
Oh, it'd be amazing. Like if they like that game as a spectacle is going to be amazing anyway. But it's funny you mentioned that because last week we had Don Hassam on, and he made the prediction, and he said like how what happened with Steven Gerrard and the slip and all that sort of stuff, that he'll be the one that will beat City on the last day of the season to hand the title to Liverpool, and all will be forgiven after his slip.
He'll put himself in the team, Gerrard, and that last
game. Because and it's true, because like Liverpool have Wolves on the last day of the season, and I don't think there's going to be much. Yeah, look, Wolves may or may not be fighting it out for the Europa Conference. Does anyone really want to fight it out for the Europa Conference? I don't know, but it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be. I'd take it as well, but I just don't think we'll get that far. But I don't want to fight out for it. Not against Liverpool anyway. I think I'd prefer to roll over for Liverpool and give them the title. But it's going to be interesting to see what way it goes. And I wouldn't have predicted this at the turn of the year. It was Man City's all day long. Man City by 20 points. You just couldn't see anything different. And then all of a sudden they started to drop points. They started to get draws here and there. And now we're in a fantastic spot that we're in, and bring it on. It's fantastic. It's great because the season has been a bit. I don't know how to describe the season, but I think more people have been looking at the teams that have been so unpredictable, more so than the teams that have been absolutely brilliant. And I prefer to look towards the top of the league than I do towards the bottom of the league. And sometimes you tend to end up doing that with the Premier League because one or two teams run away with it so early on at the start of the season. So bring it on, bring on a good end to the season for the title at least.
Yeah, it is. You're right. No, it's not even just that. It's the top four race. It's the European race. It's the title race is back on, and obviously it's unfortunately for us as well. The relegation race is proper hotted up as well. It's really kicked into gear, and it's going to be an exciting end to the season all over the table. Unless you're just a mid-table team, which I guess you currently are, Neil. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? But you still get to watch it, as it unfolds. But one team, Oscar, that took a massive jump, really, which I was a little bit gutted about. I know, basically, I'm talking about Brentford. Even Tony gets himself a hat-trick. After they got beat by Newcastle, I'm thinking, right, okay, they're going to get dragged back in it, and I see them taking the 18th spot. And I'd have even took a Norwich beating them. I don't know why. It's probably a bit of a mad thing. I just was convinced Brentford were going to get pulled in because we're running out of sides to get that 18th spot for me, bro. I keep saying Norwich and Watford are done. It is just 18th, and it's looking like for me it's one of three, Burnley, Everton, Leeds, maybe. I think that result for Brentford's 3-3, was it 3-0 in the end? I think it was 3-0. Or was it
3-1? 3-1, I think.
Yeah, 3-1. Is that enough for them, or do you still think, look, it's only Norwich, everyone beats Norwich until Leeds play them on the weekend, that is, of course?
I don't think it's enough because they play Burnley, don't they, at the weekend? They could easily lose that. I know Burnley got battered against Chelsea, and last two results haven't been great, but I think Burnley have improved a fair bit, and I think that could be a real interesting one. I think either way, whatever result in that happens, I think it'll work in our favour because either we're going to drag Brentford in, or Burnley are going to drop crucial points, or it might just be a draw. Whatever it is, hopefully that will go for us. But I've got to say, Tony, what a difference he makes to that team. I think arguably one of the biggest I hate the word one-man team, but I think when Brentford haven't got Tony in the team, I'd love to see what their record is. I'm not certain on this, but I doubt they've won the game without Tony in the team this season. Since he got that injury, their form's just absolutely dropped off. But yeah, he's got a bit of everything to his game, Tony, and in all honesty, he's a bit too good to be in a relegation battle. I think he's a top level striker who's only going to get better. In all honesty, makes a massive difference. Christian Eriksen as well.
Yeah.
By all accounts, seems to have a really good game. Put in the corner for the first goal. Just showed those little bits of class and that extra little bit of technical quality that maybe Brentford lack. And you think of that Eriksen-Tony link-up is going to lead to goals for them. But I don't think Brentford are totally out of it. I don't think they're totally out of it at all. I think obviously they've won 3-1, but I think certainly one of the penalties I dispute a little bit, to be honest with you. I think maybe Norwich being a little bit hard done to there. And as soon as they get that second goal, Norwich have got to really come flying out, and then you're always going to have a chance of getting the third or fourth, and that's how it sort of ends up, really. And so I won't get too carried away with Brentford yet. As Luke says there, Leicester, Chelsea.
This is music to my ears, bro. I'm enjoying this, to be honest. So, yeah.
No, we've got a game to hand on them. The one thing that worries me, I'm not going to lie, is the fact we played Brentford on that last game of the season away from home. My big thing is just going into that game not needing anything, to be honest with you. So I'll be happy if we go into that game not needing anything, in terms of the rest of this season. I'm sure that'll be on everyone. I'm sure that'll be on the players' minds as well when you see a game like that, especially away from home as well. We don't want to be going down there, needing something, to be totally honest with you. We really, really could do without that. But look, I still think Brentford are in it. They're a very good team when they got Tony in there. But injury to Tony, bit of loss of form elsewhere. Injury at the back as well. Janssen, Pinnock, Ajer, injury to one of them, I think could possibly hurt them as well. So I'm not totally ruling Brentford out. But if they win another 1 or 2 games in the next couple of weeks, then yeah, maybe they will move out of it. But that's a big task for them.
Definitely. Corey, I don't know why. Maybe I'm totally way off the mark and it won't fit. But is there a little bit of you maybe thinks Brentford go down? We could take a nibble at Ivan Toney, share some of the love with
100%, mate. 100%. To be honest, I'll probably take Eddie Nketiah at this point, just to add a bit of depth. Yeah, mate. I honestly, the way he took his finish, I know there was a mistake from Williams, but just how clean it is in his technique and what he does for others in terms of bringing him into play. A penalty taker, which is a bit of an underrated trait, but given Nobes is going out this summer, having someone to come in and be successful in that sense, someone's going to take him. And if they do go down, I would hope West Ham really went for him, because I just think he's very much moulded to what we could do. And it's not just us. So there'll be so many clubs in the Prem and people will go, oh, he hasn't scored X amount of goals. But to be honest, I think he has scored big goals for him in games when it's mattered. He's been injured as well. And it's not just his goals, just everything that he does in terms of his overall play. So I think there'll be a lot of people after him, and I hope West Ham are hopefully probably not sign anyone again.
Yeah. Exactly.
Him and Antonio, though, do you know what I mean? If we wanted to play a front 2, you've got to play. Antonio can play off him rather than being the hold up man. It's just little things like that would be good. Yeah,
definitely. Another team that lost down there, thankfully for us, was of course Watford. Arsenal put them to the sword. I know, Oscar, you've tipped them for the top 4. I think that's where my head would be at right now. Neil, thoughts on Arsenal and them hammering Watford? They've got, for me, they're building a really, really good side, man. I really like what Arteta's done there, and yeah, they've got the nucleus of something that could turn out to be great. I don't know, maybe I'm over-egging it, but I do really like that Arsenal side.
I agree with you. I really agree with you. When Arteta was getting stick shortly after he came in, he just seemed like the guy that Arsenal needed at the time. They didn't need a big flashy manager. They didn't need to rip up the manual. They needed to get back to some sort of an identity. And I think a lot of teams in the Premier League forget that, because it's like the last 5 years of the Premier League has been, let's just worry about this season. Let's worry about staying up. Let's worry about this season. Aston Villa we're almost guilty of it this year by getting rid of Dean Smith so early. It seems to be working out so far with Steven Gerrard, and I like what he's done, and I'm sure we get onto it later when we talk about that. But Arsenal could have gone mad, and they could have gone away and brought in somebody like God, I can't even think of somebody, you know, Pellegrini or someone like that. Just gone completely away from what they normally do. But what they did is brought in a young manager, a manager that understands the English game, manager that's worked as a training ground coach. And that just works at Arsenal. It always has. And fair play to Arteta for sticking to his guns. He's had to try a couple of things and fail and admit he's failed and switch it around. But for me, going and finding, well, not finding, because look, everybody knew that Ramsdale was a good goalkeeper, and I know you guys know that Ben White is a good centre half. I think he's absolute Rolls Royce, to be honest with you. I think he's brilliant, and I did when he was with Brighton last season. But those two signings for a lot of money raised a lot of eyebrows, and
they got hammered for it, Neil. They got absolutely battered for it.
I did it myself. I thought they overpaid for Ben White, and I love Ben White. Now he looks a £50 million defender. They're a nice team. They're like, what I mean by they're a nice team is that they're probably, you put a natural born goal scorer in that team, which Aubameyang was, but something went off in the back of his brain at some stage, and he just decided he didn't want to play. And he's turned it up at Barcelona, and that's fine. But you put a natural born goal scorer in that team, they're a serious outfit. And if they get Champions League, if they get back into the Champions League again this season, they're in fourth position at the moment. They have a couple of games in hand on teams. They get into the Champions League this season. They go out and they find the right striker, like they did with somebody like Giroud. I was watching AC Milan and Lazio last night, and I still to this day will think that when Giroud retires, he will be one of the more underrated centre forwards of his era, of his generation. 100%. And Arsenal signed him from, I think, was it Montpellier or someone like that? I can't remember who it was. And he was kind of half known, but he was somebody who came in and Wenger did his job again. If Arsenal can get a decent striker, a more than decent striker, to come in there, take over the mantle from Lacazette, and I don't think Nketiah is really going to be that guy. But if they bring in somebody that can really rack up, in the teens for Arsenal next season, I think that they'll be a formidable outfit, because they play some nice football, and they've got between Emile Smith-Rowe, Saka, and the core group that they have there. Kieran Tierney is just a brilliant player as well. They've got some really nice players, and they're finding the fit that they need at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think that striker's Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Watch this space, watch this space. I know Oscar, man, he's fuming. He hates Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
I don't really rate him either, Oscar. No, I'm with you too. It's fine.
We'll see. He's been linked a few times. I don't know. We'll see. Especially, it depends on what happens with Everton as well, but we'll wait and see. But I do.
Rumour is that Arteta absolutely adores Ollie Watkins.
Oh, there you go.
See, I like Calvert-Lewin as a player, but I just feel like they need a little bit more just in terms of a build-up. Like, I know you can build off Calvert-Lewin, but just when he was his most successful was when Ancelotti built the team around him. If Arteta does that, then it's a different conversation. But I'm just looking at what he does with Lacazette at a minute, and Lacazette does a lot of work off the ball, even though he isn't scoring. So I don't know if that would be, who am I to say? Do you know what I mean? I think Arsenal are a good striker, a clinical striker, and another midfielder away from being a really, really good team.
That's exactly what Oscar thought when I mentioned Calvert-Lewin. He was like,
it's the man for them. Isak from Sociedad. I think they go for him, to be honest.
Who sorry, mate?
Alexander Isak.
Yeah.
Just feels like, I know they wanted Vlahovic, who went to Juve, and that lot in January, I think, but I feel like he's probably the man for them. He's got that little bit of Aubameyang about him, but watching him at the Euros and that lot, and when he has plays, in the big games this season for Sociedad, he steps up. But no, it's an interesting one. And they might go for someone a little bit less than known. They might go for a Calvert-Lewin or a Watkins or something like that. It depends on the budget, really. I think Arsenal. The one thing I'd say about Arsenal, I've got to agree with what you're saying, Joe and Neil. I think it's a superb, in terms of to see what they're doing, being successful. Young English players, Smith-Rowe, Ben White, Saka, Ramsdale. All these players, having success, and they've not spent massive money, compared to your Cities, Liverpools, and Man Uniteds. And they've been successful. But next season, presuming they do get Champions League football, which I think they will, unless Tottenham can really put the pressure on, which I'm not sure Tottenham have got that big one in them. It's only Everton today if we're thinking about it. But they're going to have more football next season to play. They've not had any European football this season. I'd imagine, obviously, cup competitions, bits and pieces like that. So that's going to obviously add to things. So they might need to bulk up the squad a little bit more. Whether they're going to be able to spend the whole budget on a striker or 2 or 3 more players to bulk up the squad. A little bit like what West Ham probably should have done, is maybe what Arsenal might find next season with those extra sort of 10, 12 games if they go far in Europe. It'll be interesting. Nkunku is also a really good shout, to be fair, from Leipzig. That's a real good shout, that off Luke. I think Man United are looking at him, to be fair, but it wouldn't surprise me if they go for someone a little bit lesser known. They're not going to go for a Haaland or someone like that. They're not going to be able to get to that end of the market.
That's dreamland. That's dreamland for Arsenal.
Like the big.
You go like, are you taking the piss? Get off my
phone,
man.
They're not going to do what they've done in the past. In terms of having your.
Remember the Suarez stuff? They put the pound over his.
Well, that's it. They're not going to be able to do that, are they?
No. Definitely not. I do really, really rate the Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe chant as well. I can't lie. It's one of my faves, to be honest, of the opposing teams. But yeah, top 4's theirs to lose now for me. I think there's a lot. Look, when you look at it, you're like, wow, 3 games in hand, surely. But them games in hand are against Chelsea, Liverpool, and Spurs. But it'll be really interesting in them games in hand how Arsenal get on, because I think we have found under Arteta they brush aside teams they're supposed to do, but when they come up against better sides, they do sort of get beat a little bit too easily, a soft underbelly, if you like. But I think they've improved massively, and we'll have to wait and see how they get on. But for me, I think they get top 4, which should be probably ahead of schedule for them, to be honest. Right, let's talk about Villa. Neil, 4-0 at the weekend, back-to-back wins now for Steven Gerrard. I think Gerrard was coined as saying Coutinho was back to his Liverpool best. Watkins looking good as well. How is the Villa camp, and how are your thoughts ahead of what is? I mean, we haven't won in 6 or 7 games now, so you must be confident going into it, Neil.
I genuinely mean this, that I wouldn't consider myself confident. Now, look, we played some, it was like Harlem Globetrotter stuff at the weekend. Some of the stuff that we played against Southampton in periods was brilliant. Every single goal you go down through that we scored had just that little bit of magic in it. First goal, Ollie Watkins' turn. But before that, the slide pass from Danny Ings out of nowhere. He receives the ball, he's back to goal, something that he's been doing a lot this season and has been trying to take the turn and take the ball on himself. But he slides this beauty of a pass into Ollie Watkins. The two of those guys haven't really worked together this season, but something over the last 2 games has begun to click since we played 2 up front. We're playing more or less a 4-3-3/4-4-2 with Coutinho playing up top with them. Like that first goal, the turn from Ollie Watkins was fantastic. The second goal, Coutinho lays a ball off to Callum Chambers. Yes, Callum Chambers, or should we call him Ronaldinho for the pass that he lays into Coutinho? Coutinho lays a ball into Callum Chambers. Coutinho's about 40 yards outside, away from the goal, but he makes this absolutely beautiful run. He almost moonwalks in past the defense. He wasn't traveling at speed either. But Callum Chambers, with the outside of his right boot, pings one perfectly onto Coutinho's foot, plays it across the goals, and Douglas Luiz puts it in the back of the net. Coutinho was fantastic at the weekend, but the whole team rose to the occasion against the Southampton team that have really been a Villa bogey team. They've
been very good as well this season. They
really have. And they play the weirdest of formations. And Villa have traditionally found it difficult to come to terms with, specifically when we played a 4-2-3-1 or the other formation that we've been playing with the 2 10s that Steven Gerrard started to play. We found it difficult to play against Southampton. But I will say that Villa have been frustrating as well. A lot of, we played against Watford. We lost to Watford. How we lost that game, I don't think I'll ever know. It was, we battered them, and then they just come up the other end of the field and they score. We took something like 21 shots from outside the box or something crazy like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. We go to Newcastle. We lose to a deflected free kick from Trippier. Things weren't going great. And then we have a good game against Brighton, and we've built in it against Southampton. So to feel confident, we've been such a mixed bag. And while we have had 2 wins in a row, and I'm a bit more confident than I would have felt, we're always like, we could always throw in a Rick here and there. You know, I don't feel confident with Ashley Young facing up Rafinha at the week on Thursday. So if Dini's back in action again, I'd be a bit more confident, because Dini has played well against Rafinha even in his Everton days. But Ashley Young, for me, I think is a notable weak link in this Villa team. Granted, he was solid as a rock at the weekend, but at 36 years of age, you know, you can't keep relying on pace. You can't keep relying on the wheels not coming off. Like I said with Ronaldo, you know, the wheels are going to come off a 36-year-old, and he'll get old overnight. And I think we're beginning to see that with Ashley Young. But it's going to be an interesting game. It always is, as I say, Villa Leeds. And what's going to make it even more interesting is we don't have the game plan for a Bielsa masterclass out of nowhere, where he puts Jack Harrison, just tells him, sellotapes him to one wing and spreads the play like there's no tomorrow, like you did when you beat us 3-0 in Villa Park last season. You know, it's Bielsa's unpredictability. Villa don't like unpredictability. That's why we don't play well against Southampton, and we certainly never used to really play well against Bielsa's Leeds teams either. So I, for one, am happy he's not in the dugout for that reason.
Oscar, what are your thoughts, mate, ahead of the fixture? It's certainly getting into must-win territory now for Leeds United. Nearly every game we're coming into.
Yeah, the next 2 games are big. You know, 2 home games in 3 days. It's going to be big, and there's a big chance to really build some confidence going into that next international break, the last international break. It's a hard one, isn't it? Because Villa, obviously, when Villa are on it, you're looking at Coutinho and you're thinking, look, I know obviously he's not quite at the level he was when he left Liverpool to go to Barcelona, but I remember at that point he was the best player in the Premier League. I mean, probably most Premier League fans would say he was the best player in the Premier League, and Barcelona got an absolute wonderful signing, a wonderful player, but didn't quite work out from there. He's gone to Villa and he's just back at it. He's in a team where they understand how to use him. He's the main man again, and he can just. The problem we've got is Coutinho is one of those players. He can do stuff that no tactics can plan for. He can pinpoint it from 40 yards. He can spray the ball. He can spread the play, dictate the game. His dribbling's as good as ever. He's just an absolutely unbelievable footballer, and it's a nightmare to plan against. But yeah, I think another thing to mention too is that I think Marsh has gone on record before, certainly when he was at Salzburg, as saying that he likes to rotate. He likes to use his squad, which would suggest we will probably go with a different starting 11. I'd imagine Adam Forshaw would start in this game. I would have thought he'd probably come in for Click or Cock in that middle of the park. We might even change formation. We might even go to a back 3 to cope with Watkins and Ings, give us that extra man at the back. We might not. We might keep the same system. So I'd expect 1 or 2 changes from us. And, look, I think personally, Villa's a tougher game than Leicester. I think Villa, the way they've started on the Gerrards, the fact, obviously Coutinho's in there. Chains has obviously seems to have made a decent start to his Villa career. He'll probably start this game as well. But there's still the odd 1 or 2 weaknesses. I do think that Marsh will be targeting Tyrone Mings when obviously Villa are trying to play out the back. I think Mings is probably the big target, I think, for the press, to try and get on top of.
Most overrated centre-back in the league, by the way. Just saying, Neil.
Harry Maguire is way more
Fair.
Well, when Tyrone Mings lost a header to Dan James, I've never seen anything like that. In the game at Villa Park, to be honest.
Well, if Buendia doesn't actually knock Dan James into the ball, Tyrone Mings doesn't lose it. That was a calamity. That was a calamity of a goal. Great for you guys, but not for us. So much that one.
I mean, if Mings is anywhere near as bad as what he was in that game at Villa Park, though, I'd like to think we'll get some joy, but I don't know. I doubt it, to be honest. I doubt he can play as bad as that. But look, it's a winnable game for us. I still think it's a winnable game. But Villa, there's no doubt about it, are dangerous. If Villa are anywhere near what they were against Southampton, it's going to be a really, really tough game. But then again, if we play like we did against Leicester, I just think it's one of them. It's not going to be a 0-0 this. I think both teams are going to score. I really do think we've got the potential of another similar goal fest to the one at Villa Park. I just see a similar game. As well as we defended against Leicester, I think we will play on that front foot. We are at home. we are going to press high. Villa, pushing for top 10. I think Villa have got a great chance of top 10. So I'm expecting a really, really open, good game of football. But I'm just hoping that we make it easier for ourselves than we did at Villa Park, to be honest, because we just had a mad 10 minutes in that game at Villa Park. It kind of started that 10 minutes where Ramsey got 2, Coutinho got 1. That kind of started the real serious downfall this season, I think, that game. Where after that, we just didn't quite respond after that game. But look, it's a new opportunity for us. First home game under Marsh. And yeah, I think the fans will be buzzing. Night match at Ellen Road. I wouldn't fancy it if I was Villa, but Villa have got match winners in that team. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. Can I ask a question? So one of the big things that Villa did against Leeds and in the first game was all we did was just wait for you guys to push up on your high line. That's all we did, and then find a patch of space for Coutinho to get free in. It was a case of play around with the ball, find Coutinho, make sure he gets free, and then when he does, Watkins just ran diagonally across your centre halves, dragged them everywhere, and then the midfielders just flooded through. It was something that I've not seen Villa do because we've never had a number 10 like Coutinho or someone come in like that before. Grealish was completely different. What question I want to ask is under Marsh, and I did watch the game and I didn't take much of notice, but with the back four, do you guys play as high as you did under Bielsa, or was it maybe a bit more defensive minded at the weekend? I can't seem to remember you guys being caught massively over the top at any stage.
Especially in the first half, I felt they kept trying to get Vardy in behind, but I do think it will be something that we will still be susceptible to under Marsh. I think personally, I don't know if Oscar will agree. Although from what I did see, and I said this in these remaining games, Leeds United will be competitive for the full 90 minutes. We've seen that. That was the one thing. It was a little boring. It was a little boring at times, I can't lie. I've been used to kamikaze football for so long, but I do think we may still be susceptible to that ball over the top because they kept trying to get Vardy in, to be fair. I don't know if you agree, Oscar.
I think whenever you defend, I think even like your best teams in the world play defending with a high line, your Liverpools, your Cities, I think there's always a risk that a player with speed and pace, we saw with West Ham, that they had moments, and that's against Liverpool with people like Van Dijk at the back, the best defender in the world. So there will always be moments, I think. But to be honest, I think we did a superb job on Vardy. I genuinely do. I think Pascal, Luke Ayling, played really well. I think it's the best as a centre-back pairing. I think they've defended all season for us, in all honesty. I think they did really, really well. And it's one give and go between Barnes and Iheanacho is pretty much all I can remember Leicester having, to be totally honest. There's certain similarities that I saw in that first game to Bielsa that, everything's very fast. I think everything's still we get the ball from front to back really, really quickly. Back to front rather, really, really quickly. But the big thing for me, and I'm not sure Joe will agree with this, was that we went with a more zonal off the ball approach. We went man-to-man marking. When we played you at Villa Park, Neil, we had I think it was Click sitting on Ramsey, Ayling sitting on Coutinho, and look, it's a tough job that, marking them for 90 minutes. They only need one or two bits of skill, and it's probably a goal, with the way Coutinho's playing at this moment in time. I don't feel like we'll try and man-mark Coutinho. He'll have to try and drive through 2 or 3 players, in this time, which is he's capable of doing that. Let's be honest, he's still capable of doing that. But I think it does play a little bit less into Villa's hands. I personally our approach.
I think Luke's sort of bang on here as well. Just with the system that he adopts, it is very, very central heavy, if that's such a word. Do you know what I mean? The majority of our wide play comes from the fullbacks, but I do think, I don't see Coutinho getting nowhere near as much space as he got in that last fixture, because even if he was, had a man close to him, like Oscar said, there's going to be several players within that central space. So I don't see him, finding nowhere near as much space as he did previously. But
the thing is as well, Marsh, you'll very rarely in any of it, he's got 9 different formations, he said. He'll very rarely play a single pivot as well, which is what we did against Villa. I think we had Robin Koch just holding the whole midfield. It'll probably be Koch, Forshaw, Click, or any of those combinations. Might even be Dallas might even come into midfield.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely have at least a
what I
2
was
or
going
3
to
in
ask.
midfield and work rate there.
I don't. I'd be surprised if you guys put Dallas in midfield and Ayling out to right back again. I just think that Ayling, and this is my second question for you guys: is Ayling a better centre half at this stage in his career than he is a right back? You know, as this season kind of has, like, he was flying at a right back last season, you know, and he could interchange between the two. But is it maybe a bridge too far from him now to be out at right back at this stage in his career, and maybe moving into the centre is somewhere we see him more and more often?
Can I just to jump in, and I'll let Oscar give you a more detailed answer. But for me, it would be his last season as a starter. Full stop. That's just my opinion on it.
Really,
for me, and people won't agree, but that's just my opinion.
What I will say about Ayling this season, I think he's probably under Bielsa in terms of the man-to-man marking. You look at how good the wingers are at this level on that left-hand side. You know, you got your Mahrez, your Fodens, your Grealishes, Sancho's, all these different kind of players you've got. Coutinho, you know, all these different players you've got who can play off that left-hand side. I think it's been tough for Ayling this season. I think it's been tough for all our fullbacks this season. You know, the quality of wingers, wide forwards, whatever you want to call them, it's been tough all season. But I thought Ayling's performance, to be honest, against Leicester was probably one of his best of the season, to be totally honest with you. And I think he really benefited the most out of everyone in terms of the whole team being more compact and close together. And I felt as a back line, we had to make less decisions. I think under Bielsa the last couple of weeks, look, I'll just caveat, I 100% wanted Bielsa to stay. But what we will say is that the big thing I noticed was that there was less questions being asked of us because we were so solid in front of the defence kind of thing. We had that base, a bit more of a base in front of them, that they were having to work harder to get through us. And when they did get through us, we were more prepared for it. We were dropping off and holding our line really well and not leaving big spaces. And I think that really benefited Luke Ayling, to be totally honest with you. In terms of what Joe said, it's a hard one to say. I think you just flipping neck and mumbling now.
You agree with me, that's why. You agree with me.
We need to see more games from these players in Marsh's system. I think Luke Ayling, you see what he's done. This isn't the first time Luke Ayling's had a bad run of form, Joe. You've got to remember that. Let's remember
the bad season, though, Annie. I'm sorry.
He's been injured though, a lot of it. To be fair, he's been in and out a little bit. And out of position a fair bit too. And I've seen enough from Luke Ayling over the years to say that he will recover from a bad run of form. There's a lot of character in Luke Ayling. There's no doubt about that. He's vice captain for a reason. So it's hard to say, but I feel like when Llorente's back in, Marsh has seen maybe a little bit more Charlie Creswell. Calvin Phillips is back in, so that Robin Koch becomes a centre back rather than a holding midfielder. Ayling probably will move back to right back. And under this system, he might have that little bit more license to get forward. We saw Junior Firpo. That's the most I've seen Junior Firpo get forward all season. Created a brilliant chance for Rafinha. And let's see if we can do the same with Luke Ayling. I think for me, every single player in this squad, based on how they played against Leicester, based on the last week or so, will have probably had a clean slate, to be honest. No matter how well they played this season, how badly, they'll have a clean slate. And I think it's only fair. It was a totally different system. Let's see how he does. But I don't know. I think it's a bit too early to be talking about any players' futures, to be honest. We don't know what league we'll be in at this moment in time.
That's very true, bro. That's very true.
Can you guys keep on playing Junior Firpo as well, by the way? Because I have made a packet of money betting on him to be booked every time he plays this season. He is some yellow card machine. Was it 14 games, 8 yellow cards?
Yeah,
just
it's class.
Yeah.
Just a quick update. 4-0 to Spurs. Frank Lampard waited a minute of the second half to substitute Michael Keane. Brought on Braithwaite, and then they've gone and conceded a fourth. So yeah, I don't know why he's just not subbed him at half time and waited 1 minute. I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. But yeah, it's 4-0. So it's brilliant. And I hope all questions are asked like they were for Leeds United and Marcelo Bielsa. But I can guarantee you, nowhere near will they be questioning Frank. It'll all be everyone else's fault except Frank Lampard's. Believe me.
And for Everton fans, if they end up going down, being are they the only team, or themselves and Arsenal the only team that have never been relegated?
Yeah.
Everton fans will burn the stadium down. They will go nuts. Well, it's probably fine because they're building a brand new one anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But they will go insane at the end of the season if they get relegated. And there's something about it. I don't really want to see them get relegated. I kind of like it's one of the few things they have, and they're one of the traditional clubs, and I hate to see that taken away, because the second that gets taken away, the league just becomes more top half centric, as in Man City rewriting history with regards to all the titles they've won when they were dog shit previous to the money coming in, all that kind of stuff. So I kind of like that little bit that Arsenal still have not been that Everton have not been relegated, but I'm probably in the minority.
Do you know what it is, right? I always caveat this. I really like Everton, but since Frank gone there, seen a bit. I want you to go down now, just because
they look like a relegation team. Like they've looked like a relegation team for when you can just see it. Like you can see it from a mile away. Like it's stale. Some of the players are overpaid. They're not at the level that they should be. Michael Keane is probably the biggest example. I got to be honest. I think ever since he's left Burnley, he's been poor. He is a product of Dyche's system, and he's taken him out, and this is what he now is. He's awful. And the fact they sold Deeney as well to Aston Villa in January. He's probably done a good job, Dean, getting out of there.
Insanity. Yeah, absolutely insanity. Like when Dean moved to Villa, I think collectively Villa fans looked at each other and went, okay, we won't say anything in case someone comes in and tries to buy him, because what? Okay, yeah, okay. Sound. Thanks, Rafa. Bye. He was gone the next week. So.
Mad. And just looking at the lineup, I mean, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, John Joe Kenny, Van der Beek, Alan Decore, Gordon, like they're not really any injuries, I don't think, looking at that. We've got Delph.
Ali's still not starting games for Everton. Even now he's not starting games for Everton. I've just seen now he's still not. It's just crazy.
Matt Ayres, we need to speak to Matt Ayres, because he told me he was going to reignite him and he was going to get back in England squad under Frank Lampard and that. So I don't know what's happened there. Do you know?
That Everton back four is rubbish when you look at it. John Joe Kenny, he wasn't very good for Celtic up north last season. Brentford, he's just come on. Mason Holgate is not good. Michael Keane, not good. And Seamus Coleman, absolutely brilliant in his day, but 34, 35 years of age. And it's hard for me to say as an Irishman, and I fucking love him for everything he's done for Ireland, but just that bit too old again, If you're not investing money well back there, you're going to get caught very, very quickly. And you look at Decore and Van der Beek. If you were to not bring those guys in, you could find midfielders to do the jobs they do, because all they do is stay static in there, and invest it in your defensive four. That's bad. That's bad. It's so top heavy, that team is so top heavy.
Well, it's the home form, innit? It's the home form with Everton. So they've got Wolves and Newcastle both at home next. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully the home form dies a death, but I just don't see it. And I think that's what probably keeps them up, if I'm honest. But, long may they continue to lose. Corey, I feel like we kept you on ice for such a long time there, bro. And I know you're really, really tired. I'm really sorry.
Do your preview thing, man. Come on. You got to get into it for Thursday. Don't worry about me, mate.
No, I want to get your thoughts. I don't know if you've seen any of Leeds, but what do you make to Leeds United? Jesse Marsh?
Yeah, it's a weird one, actually. I mean, to be honest, I was, like, from my point of view, I would have said maybe sticking with Bielsa would be the less risky option. But from what you hear of Jesse Marsh, he's very, very positive. He understands. I think he understands what the club's about. And I think that the players look like they need an injection of something new. And I think just a sort of breath of fresh air, getting away from man-to-man marking is going to help them. Because I don't know, I mean, you can only sort of guess, but if you're a player and you see it constantly failing or mistakes where maybe as a player that you feel you could deal with it in a different system, maybe that knocks your confidence a little bit. But I think it's a good appointment, and I think the thing is with it as well, it's a long-term one. It's not, I know, I appreciate things could change if you got relegated, but he's that type of person that you could see being there for. What did he get? A five-year deal? It's quite a long.
Three, I think. Three, yeah.
Even so, in the Prem, I think he's hungry as well. I think to prove it in the Premier League. I'm not sure what happened at Leipzig, but obviously his record beforehand was pretty good. So hopefully it works, mate. Hopefully it works and you stay up and he can build. And I think we spoke about it the other week about sustainability of the squad. And whilst Bielsa loves working with a small team, I think for Leeds as a club generally to stay in the league and progress, the how big your squad is so crucial. So that can only be a good thing, mate. But it'd be a massive, massive job in the summer if you stay up. So
yeah, definitely. Who are you backing on Thursday, mate? You have to go Villa, don't you? I understand.
I think Villa nick it. I think Villa nick. I looked at that front three, or Coutinho in the 10 and Watkins and Ings. And Watkins and Ings has kind of been that situation of if you can get them working together, then you've got a real lethal front two that work hard off the ball and can link. And I just think it causes too many problems. I think the thing is, I can see you having a good performance. I'm just talking about in those type of games, in those type of moments, someone like Coutinho is gold dust. And he showed that the other day as well. So I thought he'd be the signing of January, and he looks like he already is, mate. It's not a bad bet though, is it? Geezer's played for Barcelona and Liverpool, and he's still 28, 29. He should be performing. So
yeah, I don't know. We just need a win, man. We need to get the monkey off our back kind of vibe. Do you know what I mean? And I think once we get that win, and we'll be good to go. But I'm not. I don't know what I am right now, mate. To be honest, I was really confident ahead of Leicester, and we did perform really, really well. We did. We just obviously didn't get any points for it, which we need points on the board. Villa will be a tough test, but I'm seeing 5. Please tell me it's 5. Yes, it's 5. It's 5. 56 minutes. This time it's Harry Kane. He's got a double.
That's going to get ugly, mate. That's going to get really ugly.
I love it.
Will they sack Frank Lampard and bring in Nigel Pearson or someone to try and keep him up?
Oh, mate, it'd be amazing. I want to
Go
find
full
these.
Watford on it.
I really want to find these Everton fans that were all like, "Oh, Frank," you know what I mean? Because do you know what? I seen a tweet the other day, and it had like Kunde. Obviously, never ended up going to Chelsea, but then there was like Kunde, what's his name? Kanate, Ben White. Have you seen it? The images of the snakes, and then the Ben White ones like that. And it's like they were mocking that transfer, and I said, I hate to say I told you also, because he ended up being the better. I know Kanate is still, probably. I get that conversation.
Kanate was mustard on Saturday, by the way.
There's a debate to be had about that.
No, yeah, but I'm just saying, just from the first time I've seen him play really for the 90s, some of his passing into midfield, I was like, it's a joke. So they've got a player.
Yeah, but it just feels like that as well. Like I feel like I want to say to people, I told you so when it came to Frank Lampard. I think, we've seen this happening for a while, but some people still have this opinion.
Where does Frank go though? If he gets relegated with Everton,
that's it, mate. He's done, He's done now. He's done, bro.
He's tough. He
goes to BT Sport, to be honest.
Yeah.
Tim Sherwood route.
Yeah, definitely.
Tim Sherwood with a children's book deal. Frank Lampard.
Yeah, it's true. Someone's just starting a hashtag there, Lampard in. I love that. I hope it doesn't go wrong. But listen, I think we've rambled on enough tonight. Just let's get some score predictions for Villa Leeds. Corey, I know you've got Villa. Did you give me a score prediction?
2-1 Villa.
Okay, I'm going to go 2-1 Leeds. I have to back us. Oscar?
I'm going to go the same, 2-1 Leeds. I think... there's just something about it. Something about it just makes me feel confident. Just something about the energy Marsh is giving the team, and I think they'll just that extra little bit of hunger after they'll feel powerfully done too that they didn't beat Leicester. 2-1 Leeds, Joffrey to score and start. Yeah,
but Paddy might make it yet, mate. Paddy might make it yet.
Start though.
He'll come back out of spite. Bamford will come back out of spite against Villa. Absolutely will. And that's why I'm going with 1-1 for my prediction. I'm not as confident in this one. I think that look, I just think we've been so Jekyll and Hyde. This team could have gone one or two ways after the 3-3 earlier on in the season, and we went down. We were going like we were hitting rock bottom. We couldn't beat Watford and Newcastle, as I said. And these games just scare me. And I'm not just saying it trying to make mates here or anything like that. Leeds Villa is always a mental game. It's something stupid always happens in it. And I just can't see anything different at the weekend or on Thursday night. I'd be delighted if we win. I think if we do win, it'll be by the odd goal, maybe 2-1 or something like that. But I think 1-1 is the smart money for this game at the weekend or on Thursday night.
Yeah. Just to finish as well, just on that, like Bamford, I know I mentioned Bamford. It is miraculous how quick these players have suddenly got fit as well. We were told like Bamford were even on the grass, and then all of a sudden he's ready to play. I don't know. Read into that what you will. Maybe it was.
Yeah, but to be fair,
come on then. Well,
different managers have different requirements in terms of
I
fitness,
know
like that. Maybe part of Bielsa's thinking was he didn't want to risk Bamford and then get injured and finish, not be able to finish the season. All these different bits and pieces. It might just be the fact that we've got into such a horrible position now, in the table, that maybe we are going to have to rush Bamford back in a little bit, KP, Cooper back in, just to get that little bounce in terms of results and impact on the pitch. I don't know. I won't read too much into that personally.
I don't know. I am reading too much. But we'll leave it there. Thank you.
Trying to make EastEnders out of it.
Yeah. It's because I've got Corey on. I just want to hear Corey go, "You slag."
I'll save it for Sunday.
But listen, make sure you sub to Corey's channel, West Ham Way, Neil's channel for the Love of Pomegranate, and of course, Oscar at All Leeds TV. All links are in the description, so please send some love over their way. Please smash a like. I'm so close to 9K as well, so subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 9K. Yes, I'll be back Wednesday as well for the midweek fix with some more familiar Leeds United faces, so join me for that as well. And we shall see you in a bit. Thank you for watching as always. Subscribe to the